going on? This boy Captain X here, and yes, I know it's been such a long time. It feels like such a long time since I've done a Bleach review, but you know what? It feels good to be back. Alright, now, on the way here, I was thinking, you know, what would be the best way for me to go about this? Because as you know, I missed last week's chapter, and obviously I explained to you the reasons why. So I was thinking, what would be the best way for me to go about this? Because last week, as we all know, was a pretty epic, you know, reveal, you know, about the whole thing of Zangetsu and everything. So I decided that I'm gonna do things a little bit differently. Instead of giving you guys a recap of last week's chapter and then telling you, you know, my thoughts about it, and even this week's chapter, I'm not gonna bother with a recap this time. I'm gonna give you my general thoughts about what's going on. So I'm gonna go straight into the review, straight into the killer, straight into the bread and butter, just what you guys love. Alright, now, before we get into that, there's one more thing that we gotta do, and you all know what time it is. It's time for the clip of the day. Let's go.
Like it was made for reaping lives.
Alright, nice to have you back, guys. Yeah, it's me, your captain, Captain X. And it's time for another Bleach chapter review. This chapter is Bleach 541, titled The Sword and Me. Yeah, I think I got it right. Alright, now, with this chapter, I thought this chapter of Bleach was a pretty good chapter, you know, as a continuation from the epic reveal that we had last time, with Zangetsu being revealed to be Ichigo's Quincy powers. Originally, Yhwach said that Zangetsu, what we know to be Zangetsu, as in the black cloak, what we used to know as Ichigo's zanpakuto spirit, which in fact is not Ichigo's zanpakuto spirit, that is, we find out that he is the core of his Quincy powers. Yhwach said that, you know, this is Yhwach from 1,000 years ago, whereas Zangetsu corrects him and says that no, I am not Yhwach. But I questioned myself and asked myself, like, yo, could he be lying again? I think he probably is. I think if Ichigo, because he said something to Ichigo in this chapter that, oh, if you continue to like pursue the path of being a Shimigami, I'd have to kill you with my own hands. But then he flipped it on his head, saying that basically that all he ever wants to do is protect him. Kind of like what Tensa Zangetsu said when Ichigo was trying to learn the final Getsu Tensho, that if you learn this technique, you will lose all your Shinigami powers. And basically, what you want to protect is not what I want to protect. And what he wants to protect is Ichigo. So it's a bit strange. 1 minute Zangetsu is what we know to be Zangetsu. Let's say Ichigo's Quincy spirit. The spirit within, the Quincy spirit within Ichigo is saying that, oh, in one breath, you know, I want to protect you. I want to protect you. I don't want anything to happen to you. I want you to avoid fighting. The next breath, if you continue down the path of Shinigami, I'll have to kill you with my own hands. Tell me that's not a bit messed up. Or am I the only person that's, you know, like looking into that? So there's a bit something dodgy going on with Zangetsu. And what I did like in this Bleach chapter review, this Bleach chapter this week, was that Ichigo's Quincy's powers, the spirit within Ichigo, in terms of his Quincy powers, was talking about how, you know, he just used a portion of the Hollow's power to portray himself as Ichigo's Shinigami powers. And that would make perfect sense, because as we know from the Soul Society arc, the Quincy has an ability, what's the ability called? But basically they make the Reishi, like, or spirit particles, or like Reiatsu, subjected to them, like they can control it. So everything in Bleach Universe is made out of Reiatsu, Reishi, spirit particles. So I know that the Hollow Ichigo and this Quincy, Ichigo's Quincy powers, which we knew as Zangetsu, was always in a constant battle between Ichigo's power. You know, as in, because there's one scene where, I can't remember what episode this is. I can't remember, so I'm going to put a video, I'm going to like put a clip up of it in, probably like sometime around about now in the video, you guys watching, yeah. Yeah, that was it. That episode, I can't remember what episode it was, but as you saw, I know this was filler, no, I believe it was filler. Zangetsu absorbed the Hollow Spirit, told him like, oh yeah, this guy's a strong one, look after him. So my theory is this: the way that Zangetsu was able to portray himself as Ichigo's Shinigami powers was by subjugating the hollow Ichigo, like, you know, by essentially defeating it, maybe not defeating it, but subjugating it, using that Quincy ability in order to take bits of his Reiatsu and portray himself as Ichigo's, you know, Zanpakuto. Which makes perfect sense, which would also tie in with why he was able to teach him the Getsuki Tensho, which is why he's able to teach him that move. Okay. Later on in this chapter, what we know as the, well, let's call him the fake Zangetsu. The fake Zangetsu said to Ichigo that, oh, all this time, you've only been able to use the Shinigami powers that I were not able to control. Like, he wasn't able to, like, contain and hide from Ichigo. So, basically, my next theory is this. When Ichigo used the final Getsuki Tensho, that was not like him pushing his Reiatsu to the extreme. That was probably, in my opinion, his actual Shinigami form. As in, him at full power with everything being released. The reasons why he lost his Shinigami powers, in my opinion, was because he has never like used that much Reiatsu before. So then using that all at once would cause it to lie dormant for a little while. It's almost like when your body goes into shock. That's the kind of way, that's how I look at it. That's how I've analysed it and perceived it. Yeah, it's been, these last two chapters have been very confusing to understand, but from what I'm making sense of it, it does make sense. Like, Kubo has done a very good job in writing this out. He hasn't made it confusing, but it's only been confusing because what's happened has now changed the concept of what we believe to be Bleach for years and years and years. Like, we've been following Bleach for years, and we've always known that Zangetsu is, the old man with the black hair and the black cloak is Ichigo's Zanpakuto spirit. Even in the filler arcs, we've all seen this as Zanpakuto spirit. When you use Tetensei Zangetsu, he gets younger. Obviously, it would explain why he becomes more agile, quick, and all of that business. So, that was pretty, like, it threw us all off. But, it makes sense how Hollow Ichigo is his real Zanpakuto, because, as we saw, when he took out when Oetsu Numaya, when Ichigo pulled out his Asuchi, he had a hollow mask with his face on it. On top of that, like the fake Zangetsu said, every time Ichigo was about to die, who saved him wasn't Zangetsu. I mean, the fake Zangetsu wasn't him. It was the hollow Ichigo. When Byakuya was about to cut him down, when he said like, okay, you fought well, but you can't like handle this because of your Bankai, and now he's about to end this battle. There's a limit to what your body. Byakuya said this. Although your spirit may not be broken, there is a limit to what your body can take. You are only human. Your body is dying. Then Byakuya was about to cut him down. The hollow Ichigo came out to protect Ichigo and grabbed Byakuya's blade. Against Ukiura, there was a panel in this in the latest chapter where it showed the hollow Ichigo. When Ichigo was about to die, the hollow Ichigo would come out and protect Ichigo. It may go on a rampage, but it was protecting him in his own way. And also, this hollow Ichigo was essentially teaching Ichigo in his own way as well. Because if you go back into like the episodes of Bleach, there was an episode in Bleach where, and it also illustrates this in a panel, where what we know to be the real Zangetsu, the hollow Ichigo, is swinging the Shikai of what was Ichigo's fake Zanpakuto around by a cloth. And then Ichigo said himself, you know what, I've never thought to use it like that. The hollow Ichigo even said to Ichigo that you're using this Zanpakuto wrong. Here's how you use Zangetsu. I am Zangetsu. The hollow Ichigo has been saying this for a long time, and maybe you can't take it literally. I didn't take it literally at the time. I took it as figuratively because, you know, it's all one and the same powers. They're all melded together like Hollow, Quincy, Fullbring, Human. It's all melded into one inside Ichigo's body. So that's why I didn't look at it as like, you know, literally meaning, and quite bluntly, because I didn't know this at the time. This was only revealed just now. There's no way I would have been able to make that prediction. No way. I'd be lying to you. I'd definitely be lying to you if I said that, yep, I saw this coming. No, I didn't. No one saw this coming. Like Kubo dropped a bomb on us all, and he's done a very good job with it. And you know what, I must say, I'm good. I'm impressed. You know what? I'm very impressed, Kubo. I'm very impressed. Now, Yhwach is obviously going to come back. We also know that Yhwach is able to take the Shinigami, the Quincy powers out of those who are not pure-blooded Quincy's. Or he could probably take them out of anybody because he is essentially the father of all Quincy. Which makes perfect sense. So, when Zangetsu said that, you know, if you choose to go down the path of Shinigami, I'll have to kill you with my own hands. It makes sense because Shinigami are the enemy of Quincy's. Although the fake Zangetsu wants to protect Ichigo, he can't go against, you know, the father of all Quincy's wishes, because he can take his powers from him and use it to kill Ichigo. So therefore, it would make sense why he's saying, if you go down the path of a Shinigami, I have no choice but to destroy you with my own hands. It makes perfect sense. Like, I don't see how that doesn't make sense. Like, what else could you... Kubo spelled it out to us. He spelled it out, that bit. Okay. Then... Another thing that I thought was interesting is that when you see like the engulfing like Reiatsu, it looked like a flame of the sword that Zangetsu pulled out. It looks very similar to the blade that Yhwach pulled out against Yamamoto, where it had like, you know, the Toshiba had like wings on it. It looked like it had wings on the Toshiba. It looks very similar to that, and I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, okay, so yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Then, the very end of this latest chapter, it said a burning flash. Now, this, I believe this is a foreshadowing moment. This is me giving a prediction. A burning flash. Is that an indication that Ichigo's elemental power, elemental affiliation is going to be fire? Originally, I made a video that you can please feel free to check out, that Ichigo's elemental affiliation could be wind. It would make, which I said, I gave various theories and backed up with various points why that would make sense. But we know that Ichigo's zanpakuto, in terms of moves like Getsu Gutensho, Final Getsu Gutensho, although we've not seen this from Ishin, we know that he knows technique because he told Ichigo about it. So therefore, we must know that their zanpakutos are very similar in terms of the techniques they use. Even the names Engetsu, Zangetsu. So it makes sense that they have a same elemental type. So where it says a burning flash, and then when the fake Zangetsu said, "Here, this is your real zanpakuto," it had like a glowy, like fiery Reiatsu look to it. We couldn't tell because it was in black and white, but you could depict it as being fire. It makes sense. We see that, and then it makes sense how Zangetsu and Engetsu are so close in terms of fire affiliation. So, like I said before, the release command for his blade might actually be burn Zangetsu, just like his dad's. That would kind of annoy me if it is, because like there's no originality there. So like basically your powers are a rip off of your dad's. Whereas before, you had like this kind of like dark moon kind of feel to it, which I thought was more epic in my opinion than, you know, having just basic fire and elemental affinity. I thought it would have been cool to have that same dark power with an elemental affinity. So perhaps that will be the case. We don't know this yet because obviously I'm not psychic, I can't see into the future. But those are my thoughts about it. I think that Zangetsu does want to protect Ichigo, like fake Zangetsu. He genuinely does. But he knows that if he continues down the path of a Shinigami, that Yhwach, the real Yhwach that killed Yamamoto, will take his Quincy powers from him and use them against him to take him down. So he won't be able to defend him by using things such as blood Vene. It makes sense now when Ichigo first fought Yhwach, that when Yhwach stabbed him, he used blood Vene almost autonomously. And that would make sense because that is the fake Zangetsu protecting Ichigo from Yhwach. And then when Yhwach says, "Oh, now your blood Vene won't work against me, I will stab you for real," it makes perfect sense, because if he is the father of all Quincy, he can take away people's Quincy powers. If he takes away his Quincy powers, we don't know if he can do this instantly, but if he can per se, that means that basically he'll take them away from Ichigo and he'll stab him because he's not able to use blood Vene. So that added defense isn't there. So that's what he said. So now don't think blood Vene will save you. So, and it also ties in why it makes sense, like, oh, my son born in the dark. But I don't need to explain that because you guys have seen the latest 2 chapters and you guys fully understand that. So, yeah, those are my thoughts about it, guys. These latest 2 chapters, I'm got to give them a very good. This chapter was a bit more of a slow down chapter, but it was very informative. We're seeing character development for Ichigo and story progression at the same time. So, although there's no particular fighting, but what more could I ask from this chapter and what is going on in this series so far? I can't ask for much more. So I've got to give these 2 chapters, both of them, a good solid 9 out of 10. The reason I never give something a 10 out of 10 because to me, when you're writing, there's nothing called perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. It's an idea. There's nothing called perfection. So a 9 out of 10 is almost a perfect score for both chapters. 540 called The Sword 5 and 541 A Blade and Me. Or is it The Blade and I? I believe it's The Blade and I. So yeah, that's my review about it, guys. That's my thoughts about the 2 chapters. That's where I think the story is going to be heading. And as for the Soul Society, I believe that the methods they're going about their training, it might be odd and somewhat obscure, but it seems to be the right way and it seems to be working for them. But I do think that they should implement like some kind of strategic strategy, because, you know, the Quincy's the Stern Raiders came with a strategy in mind. Like, they were smart about it. They knew they couldn't take them head on in Bankai, so they came up with a way to steal their Bankai. They invaded them unexpectedly. So the Soul Society needs to come up with a strategy in mind. But yeah, anyways guys, before I carry on rambling on, because that's an entire video separately, this is me, your captain, Captain Next. I'm signing out, and as always people, take care. You know what time it is. And peace.